Welcome to my channel, where we discuss everything and all things politics, especially about the 2023 presidential election held on February 25, 2023, and the result controversially announced on March 1st, 2023, in which President Bola Ahmed Tinubu of the APC was declared the winner of the election. And that result is being challenged at the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, from where it will eventually end up at the Supreme Court. But right now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is running the country, but his victory is being challenged strongly, more than ever before in the history of presidential election challenge in Nigeria. And there are strong indications that the evidence against President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is so overwhelming that it will take a miracle for him to survive it. Now, one of the spokespersons of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu Presidential Campaign Council, Bayo Onanuga, was trending on the Twitter today because he made a post in his verified Twitter handle, which he titled "The Immortal Words of Justice Niki Tobi to Obidients." Of course, you know the Obidients. The Obidients are the supporters of the presidential candidate of Labour Party, Peter Obi. And Bayo Onanuga said, because I want us to look at what Bayo Onanuga said and what he referenced Niki Tobi. Then you hear my response to his position. He said, for Obidients and the blackmailers campaigning #I on the Judiciary, late Justice Niki Tobi has a message for you in his ruling in Buhari Vs the National Electoral Commission and Others in 2008. Okay? Now, he now cited the judgment that was delivered by Niki Tobi. Now, we're going to look at some excerpt because I didn't have to bother you with the whole of the thing. So that we now look at whether it makes sense with what Bayo Onanuga want to achieve. Now, citing Niki Tobi wrote in his judgment, he said, the Court of Appeal cannot collect evidence from the market overt, for example, from the Balogun Market, Lagos, Dupe Market, Ibadan, Main Market, Jos, Central Market, Kaduna, Central Market, former Gware Market, Mina, Wuse Market, Abuja. On the contrary, the Court of Appeal has to wait for evidence, as the court did in the court building duly constituted as a court of adjudicatory body. Courts of law, being legal and sacred institutions, do not go on a frolic or on a journey to collect inculpatory or exculpatory evidence. On the contrary, they only deal with evidence before them, which is procedurally built on, and legalism. For the avoidance of doubt, I am not saying by this judgment that all was well with the conduct of the presidential election conducted in 2007. What I am saying is that there was no evidence before the Court of Appeal to dislodge Section 146(1) of the Electoral Act. It is sad that so much has been said in the newspapers of this country on the case. The new technology of internet, the new technology of internet reporting has added to the comments, some of them doubting our integrity to do justice according to the law. I regard them as blackmail, and I will not succumb to blackmail. I swore on that eventful day as a High Court judge to do justice to all manner of persons without fear or favor. I have never departed from that oath, and I will not, God help me. It is too late in the day to do so. Nigeria is a country where suspicion of wrongdoing is the pastime of the citizens. Nigerians should realize that some public officers should be trusted to do the right thing. Why not the judges? That was an excerpt, just a brief excerpt from Justice Niki Tobi in 2008, which was shared by Bayo Onanuga to tag the Obidients who are, who are campaigning under the hashtag all eyes on the judiciary, that they are blackmailing the judiciary. So he brought up this matter. And then another issue beside the blackmail he was claiming was that there was not enough evidence, that judges work based on evidence, that they cannot go to wholesale market to manufacture evidence. That's what Niki Tobi was saying. So Bayo Onanuga is keen into that. In other words, what the message want to say that Peter Obi of the Labour Party in particular did not have enough evidence to prove his case. Or perhaps Atiku Abubakar of the PDP do not have enough evidence to present, which means the justices cannot go and manufacture evidence on their behalf. They cannot go to the market, wholesale market. They cannot go to Central Market Kaduna or Central Market Mina, or the other markets that to be cited to go and look for evidence. So in the mind of Onanuga, citing Niki Tobi, there is not enough evidence to nail the presidency of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But my response to it is this, that it is instructive that Bayo Onanuga used the second worst election in Nigeria's history, second only to the 2023 presidential election, to defend the indefensible. You know that 2007 election was the worst election in Nigeria's history until 2023, when INEC conducted the worst that has ever been done in Nigeria's history. The 2007 presidential election was so messed up that even the winner of that election, late President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, who was, unlike his colleagues, governors in 2007, who was not corrupt like most of the other governors. If you remember, in 2007, in the class of 2007, when they were leaving office, Nuhu Rebado was the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crime Commission, EFCC. Nuhu Rebado said that all the governors, all of them with no exemption, except uh, Yar'Adua, they all had corruption cases, including the man now who was declared the president, the winner of the 2023 presidential election. He said that all of them are corrupt. That's what investigation showed. And if you go and read Obasanjo's book, My Watch, you will see that those who are governors then, including Aswadu Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Obasanjo wrote it there that he was corrupt. You can go and read the book, My Watch. It's sold everywhere books are sold. Go and read My Watch. But Yar'Adua was an exception to the pack. He was different. He was the only governor. He was the only governor that saved money for his state. He was not corrupt. So he was able to have the mindset to admit that the election that brought him to power was a sham, that he was brought to power by a corrupt electoral process, that the election was flawed. And what Yar'Adua did as a man of integrity was to set up the Mohammed Uwais committee to reform the electoral process. Now, that worst election before 2023 is what this man is using to justify the chances of his principal. So everybody, what he's trying to tell us is that you have to provide evidence that you have a good case, that Peter Obi supporters and Peter Obi does not have evidence, and that the court deals on evidence. Now, aside that 2007 election was so bad that right now, if you go to INEC website, you cannot see that result. It is so similar to what we have now in 2023. Where, as I'm talking to you, INEC has not been able to provide the full details of the result, of the presidential election result that they use in declaring Aswadu Bola Ahmed Tinubu winner of that election. Exactly what happened in 2007. You can go to INEC website. You will not see details, state by state, on how Yar'Adua emerged the winner of that election. The same thing is what is playing out right now. INEC even failed to provide evidence of how they declared Tinubu the winner of the election. They did not provide it for Peter Obi. They did not provide it for Atiku Abubakar. How did you tabulate it? That was why the European Union Observer Mission was so shocked that all the results were not gathered. Not up to 40% of the result was gathered. In fact, about 31%. And Tinubu was declared the winner of the election. And that was why the European Union were asking that they couldn't even see the details of how the winner emerged, so that it could be independently verified that truly this is the winner of the election. Only INEC knows how the winner of the election emerged. No other institution around the world, no other institution in Nigeria knows how they tabulated their result. Nothing. It was as opaque and as blank as that of 2007. Okay? So that's a fact. So it is instructive that using it to compare, using the judgment that was delivered on that election to reference what is going on right now. But unfortunately for him, Yar'Adua is not like Tinubu. Yar'Adua was not coming with a load of baggage like Tinubu, who had to deal with issue of certificate forgery, issue of alleged certificate forgery. alleged drug links in Chicago in the 1990s, to which he forfeited $460,000 to the United States government. Yar'Adua did not have to block Ahmadu Bello University from releasing details of his academic records, as Tinubu has blocked Chicago State University from releasing it to Atiku Abubakar of the People's Democratic Party. Already, this matter has gotten to the level where the court has given President Bola Ahmed Tinubu until August 23 to come and prove why they should not release, the court should not give order to the Chicago State University to release details of his certificates with which he got admission with Chicago State University, his WAEC results, because in President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's filing submission to INEC in 1999, he mentioned 2 primary and secondary schools that he attended, but it was allegedly found out that those were fake, that it doesn't exist anywhere, according to Atiku Abubakar, the presentation he had made. So what Tinubu did, that when he was now filing details of his credentials in 2002, 2003 to INEC ahead of this election, he left primary and secondary school blank, meaning that he never attended primary school, never attended secondary school, but he attended Chicago State University. Now, that same Chicago State University, Atiku Abubakar, and the evidence that was unaided by investigative journalist David Hunduye, so that certificate was originally, allegedly, owned. The admission to Chicago State University was awarded to a female who was bearing Bola Tinubu. So what Atiku is looking for from the court in United States, before Tinubu went and blocked it, now the court is saying that Tinubu should come and give evidence why they should not release that details. They should not order the Chicago State University to release the details to Atiku Abubakar. Because Atiku believes strongly that with that, if they can release the secondary education results with which Tinubu got admission, it will be proven that it was a female and not a male. Now, this is a strong evidence. You don't need to go to Wuse Market to get it, as Toby was talking about. You don't need to go to Central Market, Kaduna, to get it, as Toby was talking about. You get it from the real sources, and that is where Atiku Abubakar had gone. And that is where Peter Obi has also gone, getting it from the real sources. Okay? So that's where Bayo Onanuga is missing the point. And besides, Buhari was only challenging the election rigging and conduct of the election, which he could not prove. Even myself, I have my doubt about Buhari's capacity to claim that he won the 2007 election, because Buhari did not even campaign in most part of the country. So it was difficult for him to prove that the election was rigged. Of course, the election was rigged. Everybody knows it. But the fact is that it would have been difficult for Buhari to have won that election. But the election was so rigged that even the INEC was so embarrassed to release the result officially in terms of putting it out there. But that is different from 2023 presidential election, because there are mountains of evidence presented, and this was helped by the use of technology in the election. So some of the things that was difficult to gather evidence in 2008 when Toby was talking about, was writing his judgment, is no longer applicable today. There are mountains of evidence that you cannot change. For example, INEC claimed that there was glitches that stopped them from transmitting the presidential election result from the polling units to the INEC IRIF on election day, the presidential election. Don't forget that the same day, the National Assembly election, the Senate and House of Reps was conducted the same day. Those two were successfully transmitted, but only the presidential election. Why is that so? The same BVAS machine was able to transmit senatorial and House of Representative results, but when it comes to presidential result, it ran blank. It couldn't transmit. And it has been presented evidence to show that it was deliberately done. Evidence from Peter Obi when he brought an expert from Amazon Web Services that provided backbone or protection for the INEC server, was able to prove there were no glitches a day before the election or during the election or after the election. In any case, if there were glitches, why didn't INEC complain to Amazon Web Service? Because federal government of Nigeria spent a lot of money paying for Amazon to host INEC server to protect it. And Amazon Web Services is the best cloud protection you can get anywhere in the world. And they don't take lightly with the security they provide for their clients. And their clients include both corporate bodies, individuals, and governmental institutions. So why didn't they complain? Because they didn't have to complain, because whatever happened was deliberate on their own part. There were no glitches. They deliberately didn't want to transmit the results. It is obvious. And the evidence that Peter Obi presented when he invited a star witness from Amazon, who was able to show to the justices. So there's no point making reference to Toby, who was talking about where will you get evidence. Perhaps Buhari didn't know how to get the evidence. But the evidence that Peter Obi was presented is glaring. Is glaring to all reasonable men who followed the procedures. So that's a good evidence to show that the thing was deliberately malfunctioned to stop the real result from being gotten on the presidential election this day. And that was one of the grounds that Peter Obi and his lawyers are standing on to say that this election did not meet the requirement as set in the Constitution and in line with the Electoral Act and INEC's guideline on the election. INEC severally told Nigerians that the results, they said it in Chatham House, they said it anywhere that they put microphone on the mouth of the INEC chairman, that they are going to transmit the results live. Even when Nigerians were raising suspicion that they may not, they vowed that they will. The videos of that are everywhere. You can go and Google and check them. Only for them to turn around to tell Nigerians that INEC has the right to use any other method. This kind of deceit is unprecedented in the history of election conduct anywhere in the world. Those are evidence, buckets of evidence, boxes of evidence, unlike what Niki Tobi was talking about, that Buhari couldn't present evidence. There's enough evidence to show that the election was manipulated. And one of the things that helped this, as I said, was the use of technology, the use of beavers. That was what Mahmoud Yakubu was trumpeting everywhere, that they are going to use technology. They're going to use technology. Technology will do this and that. And that resulted in mass registration of Nigerians for that election, only to be disappointed. Deliberately sabotaged, according to Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar presentation at the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. In the case of Peter Obi, a professor of mathematics was able to provide proof that Tinubu was declared winner with 18,088 blood result sheets that contain an estimated allocation of 2.5 million votes that was allegedly illegally allocated to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu out of the 8.7 million votes that he used in the imagined winner of the election, according to INEC. And Peter Obi and his lawyers have said that if these blood votes, results that you cannot see, generated 2.5 million votes for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now, if you subtract these 2.5 million votes out of the 8.7 million votes that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu used in winning the election, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's numbers will drop to 6.2 million. Therefore, he will no longer have the majority of the votes cast in the February 25 presidential election. And if you do the general tabulation, there are those who have already concluded President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will come third position and not first again. So there are tons of evidence, unlike what Tobi was complaining about, that the justices cannot go to markets in Mina, in Ibadan, in Lagos to go and generate the evidence. Here, in this election, there are tons of evidence that could be used to upturn the election of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Okay? Now, the lawyers of Peter Obi, they didn't have to go to the Wuse market to provide this proof. It was there at the INEC portal. That is where this professor of mathematics and the data expert, that's where he went and downloaded 18,088 blood results with which they declare President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Something you don't know what was written inside it. And you saw the boxes of all these things that Peter Obi presented at the court. So you can't compare it with what Niki Tobi was talking about as well, Buhari, that Buhari couldn't present evidence. So he justified that they couldn't manufacture result or evidence for Buhari. Okay, so that's a fact. And also note that Peter Obi's lawyers, they do not have to go to Central Market, Kaduna, to provide proof that in line with Section 134, subsection 2B of the 1999 Constitution, that Tinubu ought not to have been declared the winner of the election because he did not score 25% of the votes cast in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. If you read Section 134, subsection 2B, that section states that for anyone, that section talks about the fact that in an election, in a presidential election in which you have two or more candidates, for anyone to be declared the winner of the election, the person must A, have majority of the vote cast, B, get 25% of total votes cast in 36 states of the federation. It must get 2/3 of 25% of the vote cast in the 36 states of the federation. 36 states of the federation. And You go to the constitution, you check the number of states we have in Nigeria, 36 states. FCT is not a state. And in that section, it says, and the Federal Capital Territory. And the Supreme Court had already ruled in this same 2008, in this same 2008 election, 2008 judgment, that and in that section of the Constitution is conjunctive, it is compulsory. Yet, as Bola Ahmed Tinubu was declared winner of the election. And Bayo Onanuga is claiming there are no evidence, or citing Niki Tobi, who was talking about no evidence, that they can't go to market to get evidence. This evidence, you don't need to go to market to get this. Go to section 134, subsection 2B, and read it clearly. You see evidence to nullify Bola Ahmed Tinubu's victory. So what is he talking about? He can't deceive the public. Can only deceive those who don't know how to open the chapters of the Constitution to look into it, or read the Electoral Act. And besides, Peter Obi's lawyers have done their job. They did their homework. And they were able to provide evidence that Supreme Court is a settled matter, that you have to get 25% before you can be declared winner of a presidential election. And the Peter Obi of the Labour Party was the only candidate who met the requirement to be declared the winner of the election in light of that section of the Constitution, because he was the only person that scored over 60% of the vote cast in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. And there are evidence to show that he won more states than any of the presidential candidates. So what is Bayo Onanuga talking about? Why is he citing something that is not applicable in 2023? Also, the Obi's lawyers, they do not have to go to Dugbe Market, Ibadan, to provide proof that Tinubu forfeited $460,000 profits of narcotics, proceeds of narcotics, to the United States government, which was an evidence of crime and dishonesty, and thus was not qualified to contest the office of the president ab initio, in line with section 137 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. You can go and read it. Read that section 137. You see the conditionalities for disqualification to seek the office of the president. And you see that he fell into it, that forfeiture. Already the Supreme Court has defined what is forfeiture in the case of Mohammed Abacha versus the federal government, where it is, they stated it clearly, the Supreme Court stated it, that forfeiture is recognized as a crime in Nigeria. You cannot forfeit unless you committed a crime. And that being the case, you cannot escape that section 137. You cannot escape being disqualified, because it's an act of dishonesty. That forfeiture is evidence of dishonesty. So the truth of the matter is that Buhari may have faced logistic challenges to provide evidence of rigging in 2008, but the same cannot be said of the matter in 2023 presidential election petition tribunal, where the evidence are so overwhelming that the whole country have their eyes on the judiciary. And the judiciary, therefore, cannot give the lame excuse of Niki Tobi of saying there was no evidence. The lame excuse of Niki Tobi in 2008 that there were no evidence, that is he supposed to go to the market to go and get evidence, that they work only on evidence. Well, there are tons of evidence. There are tons of evidence that was presented in the court. So that cannot be the same. So the justices of this time, 2008, they cannot give the Niki Tobi excuse, or 2008. There is enough evidence for them to work with. And on a final note, interestingly, the same Niki Tobi was among the justices that ruled in 2008 in the same case of Buhari versus Yar'Adua. Okay? That getting 25% in the Federal Capital Territory Abuja is mandatory. Of course, Bayo Onanuga will not see that because it is not in his own interest or that of his principal to see that part of judgments that was delivered by Niki Tobi and others in 2008, which made it compulsory, which showed that it's compulsory, and that end is conjunctive, that you must get 25% in the Federal Capital Territory Abuja. He didn't see that, and he will not see it. But the fact remains that you cannot change that evidence. It is there. That is what Nigerians are watching to see what the Supreme Court, what the Appeal Court, the Presidential Election Petition Court will say about it. Whether the FCT will have a different meaning in 2023 from what it was in 2008. Thank you for watching this video. And if you are new to my channel, you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. Hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell. When you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, anytime I have a new video, you'll be among the first to know. God bless you. And please don't forget to like this video, because when you like it, Google will rank it high and recommend it for more people. Thank you, and God bless you and yours.